I am Megyn Kelly. This is a Fox News alert. Moments ago, Congressman Joe Sestak weighing in for the very first time in more detail now on exactly what he says it was he was offered in exchange for getting out of the Senate primary race in Pennsylvania. We heard from the White House moments earlier today in which they admitted publicly for the first time on the record that it was President Clinton, former President Clinton, who went to Joe Sestak at the behest of White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel to try to encourage him to get out of that primary challenge to Arlen Specter, a man who wanted to retain his seat as a United States Senator and a man who had the president's backing after he switched into the Democratic Party. The White House was on Specter's side. The White House dispatched President Clinton to go to this man, Joe Sestak, to try to convince him to drop out of the primary, leaving the field clear for Arlen Specter. The White House saying earlier that what it offered him through President Clinton was a non-paid position in the White House, saying that if he dropped out, he could be part of an advisory board at the White House, a senior executive branch advisory board that would be unpaid. That is what they claim President Clinton offered him. Moments ago, Joe Sestak weighing in. You've heard him before saying that the White House offered him a job in exchange for staying out of the primary. Now, what he says is that White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel had spoken with him, Sestak, about Sestak being on a presidential board while remaining in the House. I said no and told President Clinton that I wanted to stay in the Senate race, essentially. Where does that leave us now? We've got Congressman Darrell Issa, who continues to ask for more. He said that more questions remain, and he basically says these two stories essentially conflict. He will be my guest here live in a matter of moments, but first, I'm joined by Bret Baier, host of Special Report, live in Washington. Bret, put this in perspective for us.
Well, Megyn, it's interesting to see this statement released by Representative Sestak in which he appears to tie up exactly what the White House counsel said, that it was President Clinton who made the phone call at the behest of the Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, and that it was for an advisory board position and that he would remain in the House. Now, as far as an incentive for someone to get out of a Senate primary race, to stay in the House of Representatives and to be on an unpaid advisory council, I'm not sure that that passes the smell test for a lot of folks as far as being an incentive. And there's also the additional question of whether a member of the House of Representatives could be on a high-level capacity advisory board to the executive branch, and we're looking into all of that. That said, there are a couple of codes, U.S. codes, that are still in question about no matter if it went down like this or went down another way, that Representative Issa and others are pointing to about the offer of any position, directly or indirectly.
And we have that. Hopefully we have that at the ready, Bret, because I want to show the viewers the law. That's what's at issue here. And hopefully we've got it ready, folks. It's 18 U.S.C., U.S. Code, Section 600. And look at the language for yourself, folks. It reads, whoever directly or indirectly promises any employment, position, or appointment to any person as consideration for any political activity or in connection with primary election is guilty of a misdemeanor. So you have to directly or no, not 595. We'll get to that in a minute. Put back up 600 so they can see it, folks. Directly or indirectly promises any position in consideration for getting out of a primary election. I mean, there are real questions here, Bret, about even what the White House said, about even whether that is still a crime.
Yeah, I think there are. And there are questions, even if it went down as the White House counsel's office said it went down. There are also questions about how Representative Sestak portrayed it. I asked him a question about it not too long ago.
Stand by. Okay. We have that queued up as well.
You're
Let's
well
watch
prepared.
the soundbite.
Did the White House offer you a job to not get in the primary?
And I answered that yes. And I answered it honestly. But to go beyond that, Bret, doesn't serve any purpose.
Was it Navy Secretary?
As I said, there's nothing to be gained by focusing on this politics stuff.
Okay, go.
Well, He said that numerous times, that it was the White House who offered him the job. In the original interview done by Larry Kane, who's a reporter from Comcast in Philadelphia, he was asked that and didn't flinch, said, yes, the White House offered me a job. He repeated that charge, and that's where the whole thing started back in February. Kane then put a comment in tried to get a comment from the White House. They didn't respond at first, and then 15 hours later, according to his blog, they came back and said, you can say that the White House says it's not true. Well, the original response by the White House and all of the different responses we've heard along the way don't match up with what is now being told by the White House counsel, Robert Bauer.
Brett, and now finally,